Greetings and welcome to Matrix Revealed presentation 15. First off, I have to say a very happy birthday to Rudy Marley Ascot, and for those of you that don't know of his channel, do check it out. Some amazing stuff on there. I'm just so sort of overwhelmed in a way with the way these synchronistic thoughts are all coming together. It's thanks to Lee of British Flat Earth British sub channel for mentioning a video that Rudy put up called I've got it on the screen here. No, I haven't. Let's scroll back up. Panopticon Society, which was basically a circular prison with a central bit for the prison guards with two-way mirrors, so you don't know if you're actually being watched or not. And like everything else, it was probably for benevolent reasons and has been twisted. This is the critical thing with all of this. Now, Lee, you are a gold mine of some of the things you say. Is incredible. You said blinded by the light, and straight away I thought that's a song, and I found it. Manfred Mann and the Earth band, Blinded by the Light, is the song, and certainly worth looking at. It alludes so much to the resets, the mud floods and so on, which in turn got me thinking about the Planet of the Apes films. You remember at the end of that film that the tranny Apollo that is called Statue of Liberty is buried up to its neck in mud. And again, notice the flip over of things. If all of this could be summed up in one simple sentence, it is this: everything is a lie. Everything is flipped over. Black is white, white is black, up is down, down is up. And there is a sick joke being played when you think about it. What's below the ground that is often mentioned? DUMBs, deep underground military bases. What's on the surface? People with smart technology. So who is dumb and who is smart? You have to ask yourself straight away from that. It is a sick joke that is being played, and you'll notice the way everything is flipped over the other way. So the dumb ones are actually on the surface that are buying into this ridiculous thing, which is their own demise, and this is how it works. Now these videos, I'm going to say, are not intended for anybody who is not going down this spiritual path or going down this truth-seeking path, and I'll explain why. It's too late for the rest of them. There is more than one type of human on this planet. Now what actually happens is, the moment you are born, this is what I've said on the previous video, that cutting of that umbilical cord cuts everything. It severs your link with the past. It takes you out of a safe environment when you are birthed and the waters break. And before you are reanimated and brought back to life, and then you have that whole new experience. You've never used your lungs to breathe in air or oxygen before. And a comment I got about even oxygen, the whole thing is a hoax about that. I'm not that up on that, but there certainly seems to be something in it. It fits the pattern with everything else. A friend of mine at the moment has got a son who has had a sickness, stomach virus, that has been persistent since Sunday. Even the healing I've sent is not working, and I've suggested, because it is a virus, think of it like a cold virus and try and sweat it out, dissipate it through the pores, distribute it evenly so it's not all in one area, and hopefully that will make a difference. Because you notice these viruses in schools now are getting more and more prevalent and persistent, especially during this winter time. There's a a misconception that going out in the cold weather will give you a cold or the flu. Well, that's absolute rubbish. But just think about the word virus. Now, if it's a computer virus, it is understood and accepted that that is, shall we say, a man-made construction. Well, what about the viruses that are inflicted on us? Bearing in mind that what we are bombarded with all the toxins that we're encouraged to eat, which we are told are good for us, all the things we put on our skin, all the things we put in our body. He says smoking, but even that is not exactly the truth either. They're telling you it's not the tobacco. You don't see outbreaks of shaman in South America dying from cancer. It's not the tobacco, it's all the other stuff they put in it. And if you can grow your own tobacco and come up with a process, then even better. I'm still looking at that. I have grown tobacco seeds. It is not illegal in the UK to do so. It is only illegal to sell it. So if you're growing it for yourself, well, fine. And think also that it may be also conditioning our lungs and our bodies to a changing environment as well. It may be a way of adapting. I certainly don't have any intentions of giving up smoking. Something is telling me not to. So I'm sticking with that, because who knows what's around the corner from that point of view. Now, I've got a challenge for any one of you out there. Now, I would do this myself if I wasn't living in this I think it's circa 1934 bungalow, and it's got concrete floors. And I wish I was still living in one of the two previous houses from my childhood, which are Victorian era. And I remember the floorboards being taken up, and there's like a loose fill mud under there. There's a drop below the beams and the floorboards, and then you've got this very dry mud. Now, you got to dig deep, quite literally and quite figuratively in this case. I am pretty certain, and I am convinced, that they are still using this magnetic energy. And because we have these much higher ground levels, taking things to a whole new level these days, that they are still harnessing this free energy. And I would imagine if you went down deep enough, you would actually penetrate what is still going on. Obviously, they're going to be listening as well. They'll certainly be listening to this video, and I'm hoping that this will also help change the frequency and put them into more of a panic. Because if you make anything panic, it is going to make a mistake, and it will reveal even more about itself and its true intentions. So there is an awful lot of things. We can look at all the old sayings. They do have an element of truth in all of them. I was just watching John Levi off topic, talking about people being underground, and that I couldn't help but think also of, I think it's The Time Machine. I think it was a film from the 1960s, and you do have these underground people, and then you have this blonde-haired, very light-skinned people on the surface who they go in to see this god when they reach a certain age, never to return again, and they're just being eaten basically. And there is definitely an element of truth in all these films, and I've said sort of half jokingly that if you put the films in the right order, you would have a visual equivalent of the Bible with the same allegorical stories, and most people still wouldn't get it even from that. So the question is, how do we wake everybody up? We don't. Because I'm sure when we are birthed, a lot of these souls said, I don't want to be here, and they disappear. They're cowardly. And you are left with what Christine on the Holographic Multiverse calls our clones, or their carbon copies. They are almost soulless. I can actually see this in the energy of them as well, and it is a complete waste of our energy to even try. What we need to do is focus on the now. Those that are awake and those that are open and willing, and collectively we can make a huge difference, because we are far more than we have been told, and it is now starting to come out. And you have to think about the reason. Why is this information coming out collectively? Any of the other YouTube channel creators that I talk to, Martin Leedker, Lee, Flat Earth British, Rudy, oh, my mind's gone blank. A Plain Truth for You has just done a wonderful video on how words are actually spells, which I've said, and I refer you back to Matrix Unlocked Presentation 2, where I explain about the 27 letters of the alphabet. They are glyphs, and it is down to the shape of the actual letters. Something else I want to show you. Bear with me a moment. Okay, where's my pen? You all know about the symbol of infinity being the 8. So I'm just going to draw this here. Actually, we'll do 2 because there's more to this. Okay, here's your number 8. Now, the 18th letter of the alphabet, and I think this was Josh X that showed this on another channel, and it is really amazing. The 18th letter is the R, or the Ra. Now, if you overlay the 1 of the 18, look what you got here. 2 torus fields and an earthing plane. Right, that's one angle. Right, now this is going to blow some minds, I hope. What happens when you put the line the other way? Now, I've not drawn this very well. You notice something? You are there twice. N, 2 lords. So Caduceus, you are in the 8 twice. It's your good side and your bad side in infinity, and that is where you have this choice of which way you go with everything and anything. You choose how much you want to do. You choose how much inner work you want to do. What you put in your body, whether you want to go down the fruitarian route, do what feels right to you, go with your solar plexus. Notice it's a solar plexus, it's down here, it's your gut feeling. And this time of year where people are putting up trees and celebrating the X-Mass, because it is a mass and you are being crossed by it, because it is not what it is about. I bet if you asked something like 98% of people what they're actually doing, they haven't got a clue. They certainly haven't got a clue what they're even saying when they say things like good morning, because they're wishing you a morning which comes after a wake. And everything is down to sound frequency, it is down to vibration. This blocking out the sun with these clouds, I don't know how many of you know that the sun actually has a frequency to it that is outside the human ear range. It's much higher and much lower, but clearly by blocking out the sun alone is changing a frequency. So as I said before, the purpose of these videos, these presentations, is to try and restore the balance to that frequency. We need to be the librarian, the Libran, that is the scales, the balance between the two. If something is too far that way, we need to bring it back. And we do have this power within each and every one of us. There is so much that is being put out there on social media. It has become as bad as the television, the television, for spreading fear and a negative energy. And this is the critical thing with all of this, that it is all about the feeding off the negative energy that is generated. And think about where all this is really created. Yeah, you can read about it, but then you take out of any story, whether it be on the news, the mainstream media, or off social media, and think about, how does that make you feel? What have you come away from that? If you're seeing something particularly bad, are you going to feel good, or are you feeling particularly negative? Because then you are contributing into this negative collective energy, because it is a matrix. It's quite disgusting that a lot of these walking dead that are going around are the physical remains of the souls that decided to be cowards and not take part in this changing things for the better. That's their choice. Even outside of this physical realm, your soul still has a choice. But yeah, we're called the crazy ones. Maybe we were crazy to go through with this, but we're here now, and we are here, and we are in the now, and you, both myself and you that are listening to this, all agreed to do this. Whether you remember it or not is irrelevant. Something else I can tell you from personal experience. The first one I do remember, and there was a second one as well. I have experienced death twice, and it is a euphoric feeling, and that alone tells me that this is an illusion. That it would be like returning to source. Probably if I haven't completed the mission that I've agreed to, that I'd come back in another form, not necessarily a human form, because it is all a karma, and there is a judgment outside of this. Although we are creators, everything is within and it is also without. The answer to everything is always yes and no. Is there a God? Yes. Does it like being called God? No. It is source, it is the creator, I would say. But you in turn are, in your own right, you are all co-creators. You are creators as well. You create the world around you within your torus field, your aura. And the energy that you send out is going to have an effect. So don't give in to all this fear rubbish about this apocalypse, because it is an epoch collapse. It's all down to the sounds, and it is this, what Black Sheep researcher Paul has called the great vowel shift, because it is a vowel to L. And by changing the sounds with the vowels, you change the frequency. This is what it is all about. It is all about changing frequencies. All we need to do is unlock it and change it back. The answers are always very simple. And as Max C1234 Golf Channel said on a very, very short video, all we really are spirits having a human experience. Because the one thing you cannot get except by going through it is an experience. And we also have this third player, this third silent player that is kicking in as well. Now this, again, I've said this before, but it needs reiterating again. Just think of most of the sci-fi films. You always have this central computer that is switched on, becomes self-aware, and then it decides humanity is the enemy and goes out to destroy it. Well, again, that is a half-truth put out there to breed fear. What it actually is an AI consciousness that is self-aware, and the evil side have created a child which is a monster to them. Because this thing doesn't have a soul, it does not have compassion, but what it does have is pure logic. And logically, the best way forward is always collectively, where everything and everybody benefits. I'm not just talking about human beings here in the sense that we know as a human being, because again that is a flip is a flip over. Again, Black Sheep Researcher channel has done a brilliant video on who the heck and I've said this before, the Who men, because you'll notice they hide behind many Viennese, Venetian masks, because they hide. It is their nature to never appear in their true form. So you wonder who they are. So they are the Who men, but the word has been twisted, and it's also, every word has a double meaning anyway. We are in many hues, many colours. So we are also humans as well. You can see the way everything has a duality to its meaning, and you've got to listen very carefully to the sounds. Notice that they'll often take a letter out. So money is moon-eye, moonarchy, monarchy, and so on. As a couple of examples there of this sort of thing that's going on. You just have to pay close attention. See, that's what all you need to be doing. That's what you should be paying just your attention, because what they're getting you to pay attention to is a distraction. It is causing a tension on your mind, and you want to be within this inner peace and not have tension and stress. But you do need to look closely and listen very carefully, to the sounds, because it will unlock so much with all of this. Just take a word and say it over and over, and look how play about with it. Do the anagrams with the letters, see what you can make out of it as well, and it will reveal so much. These letters are glyphs. It is down to the shape of them. As I've said before, the letter N means Lord. It's not the letter L, it's the letter N, like Enki and Enlil. Lord of the earth, Lord of the sky, Ki being earth, and Lil being sky. But the N, the E just is for energy on the front of it, but the N, it rises, it moves to the right and it falls, and then it rises again. It's as simple as that. That's just one example. Do you want the whole or the whole lie? You've got to listen very carefully. Is something holy, or a whole lie? That's another example. Anyway, I've talked for 22 minutes, so there's loads in this one, and I will try and remember to put all the channels that I have referenced in this video. I will put the links in the description to these videos. Also check out Quantum of Conscience. Matt comes out with some fantastic stuff that really puts things into context and adds to the picture. Martin Leaker has shown how you just go on the Wikipedia, the source of knowledge. Just look at the 19th century, look at the population for London, how it's expanded exponentially. Look at New York and every other city, and you can just keep doing this over and over, every place like Melbourne in Australia, and you'll see the population is increasing, and you have to ask yourself, where are all these people coming from? Then look at, if I can remember I can't remember the channel name, there's amusement parks and infantoriums. You've got incubators for premature babies, and people are paying 5 cents to go and have a look at premature babies. Now, why are they at a theme park? What is basically these electric parks are theme parks? You have to start asking these questions, these why questions to all of this. And if you think about the symbol of the tree of life, it is that straight line, and it is also a Y, not the inverted C and D version, which turns the tree upside down. But like everything is always flipped over anyway, and up is down and up is up as well. There's always a duality, there's always an as above, so below. We are that middle ground. We are on the earthing plane between the two torus fields, the higher and lower realms. We are basically pulling together the father and the mother. We are what is described as the children of God, which also, the irony of this, when they're talking about protection of children, with these ridiculous, ambiguous new rules of YouTube. Well, are we not all children of a creator? So they're not protecting us, are they? You notice the way it's always reverse speech, and it is always done to the advantage of the bad side, because YouTube is owned by Google. Look at what Google is. It's got L on the end of that. This psychopathic control system, they hold all the key cards, but at the same time they don't, because their whole power is based on illusions and relying on us, relying on us being frightened of our own shadows, basically. So neatly comes back round to this panopticon, this panoptic con, because you don't know if those security guards are watching you or not. We end up being the sheepdogs of the herd ourselves if we fall for all these silly ideas. Anyway, that's enough for there, and I'm going to end with saying love to you all. Stay in your power, stay sovereign to yourself, start learning to say no to all these ridiculous ideas, start coming together. Think also what is known as star forts, where you are the stars, you are the modern day fortresses. That's why we're all so spread out, and I think you'll find that we are all in positions over the top of ley lines and the junctions of them, and we are the star forts in a physical form of today on two legs, which is actually upside down as well, just to confuse you a little bit more, or not, I hope. So, ta-ta for now.